Hey everybody, and welcome back to Jerseys with Josh, the YouTube channel about all things related to NHL game-worn jerseys. And today, I'm talking about a very special jersey worn by Craig Rivet. This is his captain's jersey from the 2009-2010 season, and I'm going to tell the story behind it. So let's talk about it. Hey everybody, and welcome into the show. I'm so excited about this one. Craig Rivet is somebody who I absolutely enjoyed watching play and love listening to on the podcast that he does. More on that in a minute. But in this video, we'll talk about his career and how and when this specific jersey was worn. And this jersey I picked up from a collector friend named Jeffrey. So Jeffrey, many thanks for the deal on this one. And also to my friend Andrew for meeting up with Jeffrey and picking it up for me. Really appreciate it, guys. It's one of my favorite parts of the hobby is working together. So with that said, let's jump in with a little background on Craig Rivet. So he's from North Bay, Ontario. He spent 16 seasons in the NHL. He played for 4 teams, the Montreal Canadiens, the San Jose Sharks, the Buffalo Sabres, and the Columbus Blue Jackets. He had a total of 50 goals and 187 assists during his time in the NHL, 237 penalty minutes, and he was in 52 fights, so definitely a tough guy. And as I mentioned, this particular jersey is his captain's jersey, so he was seen really as a leader in the dressing room. So in terms of how his career began, he started as a young buck in Montreal, as I mentioned, spent a great deal of time there. He talks a lot about really having enjoyed his time in the city, saying it's one of the best markets in the NHL. People there just absolutely love hockey. No surprise. Then he got moved over to San Jose, and he said it was a really nice change in his career. He liked being on the West Coast. He got to play against a whole slew of different teams that he didn't play against quite a bit. And so he enjoyed his time there. Then he got moved to Buffalo, and he was really not pleased with the trade. He said the team was lacking a lot of resources that other teams in the NHL had. Even as a leader, he had limited discussions with the head coach, Lindy Ruff, although he says Lindy was a great coach overall. And we know he loves the city because he lives there now. He's a huge fan of the team, watches it all the time, and loves living in Buffalo. And then he spent what he'd call a cup of coffee in Columbus, finishing up his NHL career there. He did spend a year in Elmira after that, but that was the extent of his career. So today, he's the co-host of the After the Whistle podcast, which I would highly recommend you listen to if you just like hearing about hockey talk. It is a little Sabre-centric, which I personally love, but definitely Andrew and Craig, kudos to you on a really, really cool podcast. I know they hit 1 million downloads not that long ago. I choose to listen on Spotify. You could probably find it elsewhere as well. All right, let's talk a little bit about the 2009-2010 season for the Buffalo Sabres. They went 45, 27, and 10. They ended up in first place in the Northeast Division and third overall in the Eastern Conference. Prior to this, they had missed the playoffs for 3 straight years. This was a great year for goaltender Ryan Miller. He won the Vezina Trophy. And what you see here is a picture of a mini banner, but there is an actual banner in the rafters at the Key Bank Center in Buffalo commemorating this season where the Sabres came in first in the Northeast Division. You'll notice that the slug logo is the logo there because it was their primary logo at this point in time. And we'll talk more about that in a quick minute. So let's talk about some details of this specific jersey. So there were some pieces that really helped me in the photo matching process. You can see that there's an errant thread on the two, on the chest right here. It's small, but it's there, and it shows up in the Getty image pictures. And there's a little bit of shoulder where you can see up above to the top right of the C. That's definitely darker. You can see the tagging. And then again has that slug logo because it was their primary logo. And really interestingly, this was their third jersey during the regular season. So this jersey did see some regular season use. But when it came to the playoffs, the Sabres opted to use this as their home jersey. So they had the slug jersey as their away. And then what was their third jersey during the regular season became their home jersey. Really, really cool. And that's because of a rule that I previously didn't know about until I talked to my friend Mike Engel. And he told me that teams are only allowed to have 2 jerseys for the playoffs, so that explains it. But really an interesting choice for the Sabres to have the traditional logo at home. And I think a really cool and a special choice. All right, when we take a look at the back here, you can see there is also an errant thread on the 5 of the left sleeve. That one also helped me out big time on the photo matching. And there's a small mark you can see in the large 5 on the back of the jersey. That one didn't show up quite as much, but definitely some little pieces that helped make this jersey this jersey story a little bit easier to tell. This is one of my favorite parts of the jersey. There are some gnarly looking custom sleeves. You can see that they've been shortened. It looks like it was a really quick like zip zap through the sewing machine. But I loved seeing this. I thought this was really cool. And when it came to me, it was already autographed on the fight strap. No big deal for me. Totally fine to have it there. It's not something that I see when I display the jersey, but it is cool that he signed it. So let's talk about the use of this jersey. So again, many thanks to my friend Mike for sharing some awesome photo matches that I'm about to show you. If you haven't seen the episode with him on photo matching tips, it's a definite must watch. I'll post a link above for you. I'm going to focus on games that I have a definitive photo match for. And luckily, one thing that I have found is that captains and alternate captains tend to be really well photographed. So that's nice if you're in the hobby and looking for a jersey whose story you can really tell. Often those star players are photographed quite a bit. Here's the first game that I was able to photo match this jersey to, and it's when the San Jose Sharks came to visit the Buffalo Sabres. It was February 13th, 2010, and the Buffalo Sabres would win this one by a score of 3-1. Here we see Captain Craig Rivet defending the net against one of the San Jose Sharks forwards, and when you zoom in, you can see that errant thread on the 5. Moving on, we see the Washington Capitals came to visit the Sabres on March 3rd of 2010. Washington would take this one by a score of 3-1. But again, here we see Craig Rivet photographed during this game, and you can see the errant thread on the 5 once again showing up in a picture, so definitive use in a second game. And then just a couple days later, the Philadelphia Flyers came into Buffalo for a game on March 5th. This was a sellout crowd. The Sabres would win this one 3-2, and this jersey was photo matched during the warm-up for the game. You can see Craig Rivet stretching and getting ready, and when you zoom in, you can see the errant thread kind of poking out off of the 2. So funny how such a small thread can show up so many different times. All right, and then we would head into the playoffs, and as I mentioned, the slug jersey was the primary jersey the Sabres would wear, except for the playoffs. Once the playoffs came, the Sabres went to their traditional logo, which was their 3rd jersey, as their home jersey, which is really cool, especially for this jersey. So the Sabres played the Boston Bruins in the first round. Here we've got game 1. This is a game the Sabres would win 2-1. And in this game, Craig Rivet took a pass from Tim Kennedy at the point. He popped it into the net, and the arena went absolutely crazy. It was a really cool moment. This was one of the 4 playoff goals that Craig would score in his career. It was the last playoff goal that he would score in his career. He did score 1 with Montreal and 2 with the San Jose Sharks. But you can see just how thrilled he is. It was a huge moment. There is a video of it on YouTube. I'll show you the link to in a second. And he really pumps his fist. But definitely a great moment. This is the title of the video if you want to watch it. But a really big game for Craig. And this particular goal it just feels so special to have this jersey that, the entire crowd in Buffalo was going crazy for when he scored, and all eyes were on him. So it's really neat to have that in my collection and to be able to see it. Such a cool point in time. This jersey would again be worn in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference quarterfinals. Boston would take this one by a score of 4-2. Craig Rivet got into a tussle with Milan Lucic, which you can see here. And again, as you zoom into the Getty image, you can see that thread on the 2 kind of poking out once again. Really cool to see that detail. We all know playoff hockey is really energetic and just loud and fun. So it was a really cool moment. And then now we're up into game 5, right? So game 1 and 2 in Buffalo, 3 and 4 in Boston. We're now back in Buffalo for game 5. The Bruins are up in the series 3-1. They've won 3 in a row, and this is a must-win game against the Sabres. And here we see Craig Rivet defending Ryan Miller against Blake Wheeler. And this is a picture that I love because Ryan Miller, one of my favorite all-time Sabres. So it is really cool to have a jersey that's in my collection that is photo matched to Craig wearing it with Ryan Miller in the picture. What a really cool moment. There was also another picture that it was photo matched to in game 5. So here we see Craig Rivet and Mike Grier skating towards the bench. This is because Mike Grier, who of course is now the GM of the San Jose Sharks, really cool. Congratulations, Mike, on that job. He got hit in the head blocking a shot during the game, and here we see Craig helping him off. So ultimately, the Sabres would come away with the win, but it would be the last career home playoff game that Craig Rivet would play. And I just think that's a really special component of this jersey story, the last jersey that he wore in a home game in the playoffs. Such a cool piece. Okay, there you have it. The story of one jersey worn by an NHL journeyman, someone I love listening to on After the Whistle, and someone I'd love to meet in person someday if the pieces fall into place. I hope you enjoyed the story of this jersey. If you've got a jersey with a cool story that's worth telling, then please let me know. You can email me directly at jerseyswithjosh@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, and as always, enjoy the hobby.